Today I'm going to talk to you about Meridian's proposed electric vehicle system, factors influencing global supply and demand for electric vehicles, why we think that EVs are important for delivering on New Zealand's environmental commitments, why Meridian is interested, and what makes New Zealand a great place for electric vehicle deployment, some concluding thoughts, and what we think that you can do to help. Meridian has proposed an electric vehicle demonstration program to give New Zealanders an early glimpse of EV technology, with a much longer term goal of seeing EVs deployed widely in New Zealand. Broadly speaking, the project objectives are to understand how small commuter electric vehicles perform in the New Zealand environment, what do customers really think about electric vehicles, and trying to understand what are some of the technical support and infrastructure arrangements that might be necessary to enable conversion of New Zealand's vehicle fleet from traditional internal combustion engines to electric vehicles over the longer term. There are many challenges in pursuing these goals, but EVs are seen as an important solution for delivering on New Zealand's environmental commitments. Our need for this kind of transformation is compelling. We have our dependence on imported fossil fuel. Greenhouse gas emissions per capita level is amongst the 5 highest in the OECD. Roughly around 43% of this is attributable to transport in New Zealand. We're also the 5th highest for CO2 emissions per capita from transport in the OECD. We have astonishing rates of high vehicle ownership on a per capita basis. Ed, we're not quite up to your 1 car for every man, woman, child, baby, but we are at 0.7, so we're not doing too badly ourselves. The challenge that we've really got is how we make sure that New Zealand stays on the radar of global car manufacturers and that New Zealand is seen as a good market for EV deployment. On whole, if we're looking at this, if we're putting ourselves into the shoes of a global car manufacturer that's looking around the world about where they might deploy their electric vehicle technology, New Zealand's really on the back foot. So the challenge now for government, for utilities, but more importantly for consumers as well, is to really make sure that New Zealand is seen as a good place for EV deployment. Like Ed, we've done quite a bit of thinking and research into this area, and what we do agree with is that it's going to require partnership. It's going to require partnership between automotives, utilities and consumers. We see it as a three-way deal. This is the only way that we'll achieve wide-scale EV deployment in New Zealand, and I realise the significant environmental benefits that are achievable through EVs. Meridian's an electricity company. We are a utility. What's different about us is that we do generate our electricity from renewable energy sources. We're also experienced in smart metering and in home energy efficiency systems. The electricity that we sell is certified as carbon neutral. So as one participant in New Zealand's electricity industry, we think that we have much to offer in facilitating deployment of EVs, and it's something that we're passionately committed to. New Zealand is a great place for EVs. The government policy direction that's been set, our outstanding renewable energy base, our commuting travel patterns, the fact that we have a consumer society that is internationally recognised as being an early adopter of new technology, and we have many environmentally aware consumer segments. All of these things are great attributes and are very attractive to a wider audience. We just need to get out there and actually explain that New Zealand is keen on electric vehicles, and Meridian will do everything that we can to help accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles in New Zealand. At the moment, we're 25th on the list for receiving electric vehicles, and we know that global demand is already high. We're going to have to wait too long if we wait for these vehicles to arrive in New Zealand. We need to get out there. We need to be assertive about securing a place for New Zealand around that global demand for EVs. We need to promote the fact we have this renewable energy base and that we've got a ready and willing market of consumers.